Hi everyone, if we haven't met before, I am Kat from Oliphant Cat, and I have had a project underway for quite a while actually to clean up my craft room. It's been a bit of a mess, as you'll see. And there were some changes I wanted to make to how it was set up. So one of the big ones was I needed to reorganize my stash. So let me show you what it looks like right now. So I am right in the middle of organizing it all and putting it all away. So I will show you what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks in terms of reorganizing everything, and then we'll sit back down here and I will finish setting up and putting away all of my yarn, and I'll walk you through what it all is as I go, because I know people like seeing other people's stashes. And then stick around at the end for a special announcement. If you're wondering what it is, it's in the title of the video, and I will go through what's going on with that and how you can participate. So this is my cupboard at the moment where my stash lives, and as you can see, I have these buckets. So essentially what happened is when we lived in New York, we got moths, which is horrendous as a knitter. I actually had to throw some, not just yarn, but actual finished items away. So I was super freaked out. So I started keeping my yarn in these buckets. But as you can see over here on the side, it started to overflow. And also there's another bucket down here, and there's one more here on the floor. So I bought some new buckets that will fit in the shelves a little bit better. So I'm going to go grab them and I'll show you. So here's my giant box with my new yarn storage. This is actually only 2 of 6 things that I got. And it is a shelf. And I measured it out, and it actually fits perfectly in the hole of the cupboard. So there where those shelves are, this just fits exactly. It's actually quite satisfying. I am going to have to change the height of the different shelves, so those are adjustable. So I think what I'm going to do is actually take the shelves out and just stack all of these on top of each other, and then I will have a lot more space and there won't be these balls sort of shoved off to the side. So I've taken out these shelves, and I wanted to show you what I meant when I said that the shelves I bought fit exactly, because it's quite satisfying. So this is how wide they are, and it just slides right in, and that's the depth there, so it's perfect. So I'm just going to stack these on top of each other into this empty area now. All the shelves are in, so now I guess I need to just organize my stash. It's such a mess at the moment, but this way you get to see what's in it. So I'm going to tip all this yarn out onto the floor and then try and organize it. I know people do different organization. I've seen people talk about organizing by color or organizing by fiber, but I organize by weight just because that's usually the first thing that I look for in a pattern. So I'm going to tip everything out onto the floor and then start sorting it by weight. It's already sort of sorted in the bins, but they've become really disorganized because they just have. So I'm going to throw everything out and just like try and group it into different weights and stuff. Okay, so I guess I should just take you through all the different sections. I'm not going to show you every single piece of yarn that I have because that would be a little bit intense and we'd be here forever. But I'll show you just interesting things or anything special that I come across as I put it away. Also, I'm sorry if there are any random weird noises that happen in the background. My daughter just got home and she is boisterous. So if there's a random scream or two, just ignore it. Okay, so I'm going to go top to bottom in terms of weight. So the top shelf is going to be 4-ply, and the reason that I am waving this pen around is that I'm going to use it to label things. All right, 4-ply. So let's see what we've got. This is a bag of odds and ends from Melissa, who is the Down Under dyer, and she is actually like a real life friend of mine. I don't say quotes to the friend part, I say to the real life part. So Mel and I have known each other for quite a while actually. We met at work originally at my old job, and she started dyeing a little while ago. So for my birthday, she sent me a couple of things. One of them was this bag of test minis that she's done, and so I'll pull some of them out of the bag. So these are the greens. And there's a nice little blue. And then a bunch of reds. So I'm excited to figure out what to do with those. And these are all in her everyday sock base, which is fingering weight merino and nylon, so that'll be lovely. And the other thing that Melissa sent me, which I'm really excited about, also on her everyday sock base, is this is her highlighter set. How cute is that? Melissa did a set of colorways that were based on highlighters, and I really, really loved them. And so she gifted them to me for my birthday. Oh, and it came with this really cute stitch marker. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I have an idea. Mel has been making this really cool pair of socks in this like striped slip stitch pattern with like a neutral paired with it. And I really want to do that but make them fingerless mitts because my hands have been really cold. I've been trying to be good for the environment and not use the heater too much, but it does mean that my hands get really, really cold while I'm like knitting and typing and stuff. Ooh, this is fun. All right, so if you saw my wardrobe walkthrough, I was talking about how much I love silk and how I got a little bit obsessed with it. And so the year that I went to Rhinebeck, I was wandering around trying to find some silk, and I came across this. Look how beautiful it is. So this is Bijou Basin Ranch. And it looks like the actual yarn is called Gobi. It is 65% silk and 35% baby camel. So it's in this lovely, like, variegated purple and green colorway. And then this green here is the green in this skein. And the people at the stall said that they intentionally dyed these two yarns to be a pair. And at the time, I was knitting a lot of shawls, so I went ahead and bought these. And I just haven't knit a lot of shawls recently, so I am still on the lookout for a pattern for this that I really, really want to make. It's some of that yarn that's special enough that you don't want to use it, but then if it just sits in your stash, then also you're sort of wasting it. So if I'm on the lookout for something that would work with this. If anyone has any suggestions, I would love to know. The next set of actual skeins I have, so this is from Louise Roberts. It's her Super Sock Base, which is 75% merino and 25% nylon. And this, from what I can remember, the colorway is called Anne Boleyn, like the Queen. Anyway, so This yarn is from when I designed Queen of Spades, which is a pattern that just came out a couple of months ago. I designed it for Louise Roberts yarn. They wanted to keep the sample, so I wanted to make one for myself because I really loved it. So I went ahead and got some more of the yarn. I'm probably going to make that this summer. Okay, what else? Oh, this stuff is fun. So if you saw my wardrobe walkthrough, I was talking about Adventurers Out There, which was a bag I designed for Knit Crate. And they actually sent me 2 sets of the yarn. They sent me the yarn in the like neutral colorway, which is what I ended up making the sample out of. And they also sent it to me in this purpley color, and it's purple, so I'm obsessed. This is Petite Wool's Interlock. It's a really interesting mix of fibers. I will put them all up on the side here. And this was fun because it's chainette. So if you look at the yarn, if you've worked with chainette yarn before, it's this like, it looks like a chain. It's not actually plied, like the fibers aren't spun around themselves. And when I first got it, I was a little skeptical about what I was going to do with it, but I really, really love it. It was just like surprisingly fun to work with. It is quite variegated, and I've seen versions of people's bags that are in this colorway, and it does end up being a little bit stripy. So I think I might either, whatever I end up making, I don't want to make another bag, but I'm also on the lookout for what to make with this. It'll probably become a summer top. So whenever I do use it, I'll probably, alternate the skeins. And then everything else I have is a bit of a funny jumble of like tiny little bits and pieces. This, and this one here. These were all leftovers from things I made for my daughter. And then I have a bunch of minis that were gifted to me just randomly. Not really gifted, but just like from going to events and stuff, and when you get goodie bags. If anyone has like scrappy project ideas, I've seen some lovely like granny striped blankets that people have been making, so that's tempting too. But it would be quite a big undertaking. So if anyone has other ideas for what I could make with all these little odds and ends, because they're nice yarn, there's just so little of it that it's hard to figure out what to do with all of them. So I have a couple of other bits and pieces that I'm going to throw into the 4-ply bucket, but that aren't 4-ply, but I have so little of these weights that they're just going to go in. I might sort of try and make a section in the drawer for the different weights. These two have funny stories. So these are both lace weight. This one was probably one of the first presents my husband got for me. He was lovely, and he knew that I was a knitter. Probably just after we started dating, he walked into Morris & Sons and asked them what he should get me. I do not know what the ladies in the yarn store were thinking, but they suggested a ball of lace weight yarn. Questionable, but okay. And it did come with a pattern. Like, I know that with lace weight lace weight is 2-ply. So I know that with 2-ply, you normally hold it double with things. I know it's like quite popular at the moment to hold a 2-ply strand of mohair with other things to make them like fluffy. But the pattern that came with this was really just for a scarf. But you knit it on like 5mm needles, so it was like a really, really open work scarf, but I just didn't have the patience for it. I tried it out, and it was one of the first times I'd done really interesting lace, and so it just wasn't working for me. So I ended up putting it away. And the funny thing with this is that after we were married for a little while, and Wes had seen me knitting with all of the 10-ply and 12-ply and stuff, he saw this ball and he was like, "Was that what I bought you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'm so sorry." Because he had no idea how thin the yarn was when he bought it compared to what I would normally make. So I will probably end up holding this double with something. It's this I don't even know if that's going to show up in the camera. It's this sort of mild black and white color. So I think that could look cool, held double with something solid. So we'll see. And then this is the last thing I have in this pile. This is from Sweden? maybe Denmark. My parents went to visit my sister when she was on exchange in Copenhagen. This was back in like 2008 or something. And the label, it says Denmark. So I guess the label is in Danish. I'm guessing this is saying that it's for 35% silk of some description and 65% merino. But it's lace weight. So there was 510 meters in this 100-gram ball. It doesn't say what the grams were, but I assume it was 100 grams. And so it felt really special, and I hung on to it for a long time, and then I did try and make something from it. I don't even remember what it was. And I ended up having to frog it, so the yarn got a little bit worn looking. And I held on to it for so long that I was like, look, I just need to use it for something. So it ended up being one of the stripes in my quilted cardigan. And so it looks like I was holding it quadruple, because the yarn I needed for quilted was 10 ply. So that's what I ended up having with that, and at least I got to use part of it. But there's so much left that I'm sure I could still do something quite substantial with it. I think it would be really fun if I paired it with the silk and camel. So it would be like purple, then purple green, then green. So that could be quite nice. I just have to figure out. I think I'd probably have to hold this one double so that it would end up being the same as 4-ply. But that could be quite good, actually. Then it's like lots of special yarns put together. And that's everything in the 4-ply bucket. Alright, so next up we are going 8-ply. Okay. So, there is surprisingly little of this, but it is one of the few things that I do actually have enough for a jumper. This is lovely and fun. So this is from Stitchcraft and Wizardry, and the colorway is called Fun at Reef School. So they do a bunch of fun, like pop or, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, pop culture. They do a bunch of fun pop culture inspired colorways. And so this Fun at Reef School was inspired by the colors from Finding Nemo, from Nemo's, like, reef, I guess. And so I got 3 skeins of DK. Don't know what I was thinking. I think I was thinking I should buy a substantial amount so I actually do something with it. But it's so colorful that, like, I wouldn't make something for myself in this. Maybe for Amelia, but I don't really like making her clothes anymore because she grows out of them so quickly. But I could imagine making a cool shawl with it if you paired it with, like, a neutral. Like, I'm thinking, like, something brioche with a neutral paired with this. I think that would look really, really cool and just fun and bright for winter. So that may end up being what that becomes. Okay, and this is the actual sweater quantity that I have. Jumper quantity. So I'm really glad I got this. Knitcraft and Knittery was a beautiful yarn store that was open. It initially opened in Australia. I think they were in Tasmania, but I'm not too sure. And they ended up moving back home to the States. And they did run the store for a while after they were in the States. And I really loved the yarn. Morgan was one of my first Instagram friends, and I had been eyeing it off for so long, but I just kept putting it off. And then finally I found it on sale at an Australian yarn store because I knew I wanted to use it to make a jumper, but hand-dyed indie yarn is just so expensive. So buying an entire jumper's quantity worth of it, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But then it went on sale, so I bought an entire jumper's quantity worth. This is 100% sustainable Australian merino wool, and the colorway is Missy Z. And yeah, I don't know why this one's wound. Oh yes, this also went into quilted. But yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skeins of it. I think it's going to become Uprising, which is a cropped jumper. I need some high-waisted things for the winter because a lot of my like skirts and things that I like to wear with tights are high-waisted, and I just don't have any jumpers that I can wear with them in the winter, so they only get used in the summer. So I think this is going to become Uprising, but we'll see. I'm hoping to make it this year. And the reason that I'm saying I'm glad that I got it is because Morgan recently closed down their shop. And so I'm glad I got in there before I couldn't get any anymore. Okay, so now we get on to the 10-ply. Okay, this is not centered at all. Whoops, I forgot how long a word worsted is. Okay, that's entirely off center, but what can you do? So, the majority of this is one thing, and one thing only. I'm just going to start stacking it up in here as I talk. This is 10-ply cotton from Bendigo Woolen Mills in lots of different colours. And so what happened was that I had all these plans to make a bunch of baby blankets. So I bought myself a big batch of the 10-ply cotton. And then I ended up talking to Bendigo Woolen Mills, and it turns out that they do yarn support for indie designers. And I've had a project underway for a while. I've been wanting to rewrite a lot of my patterns into yarn that you can get easily in Australia, just because I know that shipping from overseas, especially at the moment, can be really problematic and worrying and take a while. And so I've been wanting to rewrite all of my self-published stuff into yarns that you can get locally, so you don't have to bother substituting, and you can just sort of like buy something and go for it. So I was talking to Bendigo Woolen Mills, and they sent me a batch more yarn to rewrite some of my baby blanket patterns into their yarn. So I've already done the building blocks blanket, which is like a nice mosaic baby blanket. And then next up, I'm going to do the 4-way stop blanket. And I just really like using cotton for baby blankets because kids won't be allergic to it, and you can throw it in the washing machine, which is really important for new parents. So this is all my Bendigo Woolen Mills cotton, and I don't know how I'm going to fit the rest of my stuff in here because these balls are lovely. They make 200 gram balls. Sorry, that's Amelia. They make 200 gram balls. And so it's really good because a baby blanket only takes like 2 balls of yarn. But it does mean they're huge and they are taking up most of this bucket. But that's fine because I think it's still going to fit. I do have 1 ball of their wool as well because I wanted to try it out. This was the luxury wool, not the classic. So it's quite nice. I don't know what this is going to become. It's a nice colour. Maybe a beanie. And then the last couple of bits I have are some odds and ends. So this is Chroma Twist from Knit Picks. I think it comes in different weights, but this is the worsted weight 10-ply. And it's so much fun. Look at the colour. So it ends up being a like cool sort of stripy gradient. I can't show you what it looks like yet because this was for a project I did with them that won't be released for a while. But when it comes out, don't worry, I will show you because it's super cool. This last game is Manos Maxima, which I'm not a big yellow person. I feel like it doesn't go super well with my skin tone, but it was gifted to me. And so I think I may pass it on. What's the term I'm looking for? Pay it forward and turn this into a gift for someone. The perfect opportunity is just waiting for me. I'm sure I'll come up with something. Maybe for my sister because she loves yellow. Okay, and then we have a bunch of 12 ply. So I got a new pen. I have 2 of these luckily because the other one was clearly running out. So I don't know if these are all 12 ply. I think they range, there's definitely a 16 ply in there. So I'm just going to group them all together because I feel like once you get above 12 ply, it gets really hazy, like the differences between 12 and 14 and 16 can be quite hazy. So I'm just going to put them all together. Alright, so we're calling it 12 ply plus. So what do we got? This is Heirloom, I should know this. Heirloom Merino Magic Chunky. It's 16 ply. And it's Australian. It's a new yarn to me. I found this at Lincraft maybe like a year ago. And I actually really like it. So when I was mentioning that I'm going to rewrite some patterns into Australian yarn, I think this is going to turn into some beanies. And then this one is really fun. This is Mrs. Crosby. I don't remember the name of the base. I'll put it up on the screen. But this was from my couch boots, which were a pattern I did for Knit Crate. And they sent me 3 skeins, so I think that the boots took about a skein and a half. So I could make a second pair, but I do want a second pair because I live in them in the winter, and it'd be nice to be able to rotate them so I can wash them. But I don't want a second pair in the same colorway, so this will be something else. Alright, sorry, I had to go put Amelia to bed. So, and I also had to change teas because my other one ran out. So this one's interesting. This is yarn that I picked up from a yarn swap. So we all just brought stuff we wanted to destash and threw it in a pile in the middle, and then you could take whatever you wanted. So this is Sus yarn. It's called Twisted, I think. And it's this interesting, it's cotton, but it's this really slubby, sort of thick, thin texture. And I picked it up because there was quite a bit of it, and it looked like it should be enough to make a baby blanket. But it is super slubby, so if anyone knows of any sort of fun stitches to do, just fun, easy stitches to do that look good in slubby yarn. So that's how thin it is on the thin side. And then it gets to be this fat. So I used to have it in my 8-ply bucket, but I looked it up on Ravelry as I was sorting all the yarn out, and it turns out they classified it, it's discontinued now, but it turns out they classified it as a 12-ply. So it's going in the 12-ply bucket. And I've had that for quite a few years, so I don't know what's going to happen to it, but we'll see. So this one's fun. This was also a gift. It is Happy Go Lucky, and it's just their bulky weight yarn. And it is hand-dyed, I'm pretty sure. And it's just this really cool, it's just merino, but it's this really cool colorway that I have no idea how this would knit up. I guess just sort of speckly and variegate. And I've had it for a while, and I just haven't really figured out what to do with it. I think it also wants to be a beanie. See, this is my problem. I only have 1 skein of everything, so everything wants to be a beanie. Now this I've had for years. It's also very slubby. And I'm pretty sure this was hand spun. I picked this up at a craft fair in the Blue Mountains at least a decade ago. I know that I tried to knit with it in 2012 because I remember I have a picture of myself knitting with it, and my hands were stained pretty blue because the dye was running. And I must have frogged whatever it was I was trying to make with it, because I still have the rest of the ball. So we'll see what it ends up being. But I don't know, guys. What do you do with the yarn that you've had for a decade? Do you just give up on it and assume you're never going to make anything out of it? Or do you just keep it and hope you find something to do with it? because apparently I just keep mine and hope. And then the rest of this is Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes. They actually changed both their labels and how they put the yarn up. So they used to have it in skeins and now it's just in these hanks. But this is what I made Sidewinder out of. So Sidewinder is a pattern that was released at the start of this year and I really love it. It is a cabled hat or beanie. So you knit the cable sideways as a headband and then you pick up around the edge and you knit up in the round to make the beanie. And I'll show you why I love it so much. So it was published in a book. So here it is. So they knit the sample for the book in this blue colour, but I liked the neutral, so this is what they sent me. And this is the giveaway. So I have been on Instagram for quite a while, and it's taken me a really long time to hit 3,000 followers, but it's taken me a surprisingly short amount of time to hit 200 subscribers on YouTube. And when I started my YouTube channel, I told myself I would be happy with getting 200 subscribers in a year because I was trying to be realistic, and I've gotten 200 subs in like 2 months. So thank you guys. I'm so happy that there are so many of you who are interested in watching me just chat about knitting. And so I just wanted to, like, as a thank you, have a giveaway. So this one skein of this yarn, it's Wool of the Andes bulky weight. And the prize is going to be this hank of yarn here and this book. So Sidewinder is in here, but then there's a bunch of other cabled accessories. And I love cables. So I am probably going to knit some more things out of here myself. And if you would like a copy and the yarn to make the beanie, I would love for you to enter. So because of shipping and COVID and everything, I am only going to keep this part of the giveaway open to Australian residents. So if you would like to enter, please pop a comment down below and let me know which part of Australia you are in and how you found my channel, because that would be really helpful for me to figure out, and give me one idea of a video you would like to see in the future, because I have lots of ideas, but I'd love to know what you all think too. And if you aren't in Australia, there is going to be a digital prize as well, and that is explained over on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram account and just like scroll through, there will be a post called giveaway. It'll be obvious which one it is. And I'll pop a link to it down below in the description box when it's up. The giveaway there will be some of my patterns in PDF form, so I can send them to you overseas more easily. So go check that out if you aren't in Australia, and you can enter over there. So yes, thank you so much. I am so blown away by how many of you there are who are interested in watching me just go on about things. And make sure you subscribe, because the faster we get to other milestones, the more giveaways I will have. So the last pile of yarn I have is getting its own bucket shelf thing, because I have so much of it. So this is, let me find one with a label. This is the Petite Wool from We Are Knitters. And when I was in the States, this made the majority of the patterns that I self-published, as well as the items that I sold when I had an shop, like an Etsy shop that I sold finished objects out of. Oh, sorry, my voice is really going. And so that's why I have so much of it, because the last year that I ran my Etsy store, I was trying to be all organized, and I bought a lot of yarn to stock up so that I could actually do things made to order reliably. And I just bought too much stock, is the long and the short of it. And as well as that, some of them are in baggies, because this yarn was the main target of my moth infestation, unfortunately, I think because it's so fuzzy and nice and, well, I mean, the moths don't know it's nice or not, but it's so fuzzy and it's not plied, so it's quite soft. I think they just found it easy to chew through and nest in. And so the bags, if you see, for example, this one here, it's in pieces. That's because this was one skein and like the moths ate it. And so I just rolled up each 100-gram lot into its own bag, and I bagged them up because I was worried that I hadn't gotten rid of the moths out of it. So they are in there to protect the rest of the yarn. Unfortunately, it's not quite a jumper's quantity worth. I think if I was willing to mix and match colours, it would be. So this is pearl. So I have 4 skeins of this left, if you count some of the bagged up ones. And I know that when I made it's called the necessity jumper. It was the jumper that I was wearing in one of my other videos that I talked about a bit. That took 3 skeins of one colour and 2 skeins of the other. So if I was willing to fold, say, this like denim colour in, which I have a lot of, I could make something cool looking out of it. I just have to be like in a very particular mood to wear it, I think. Because this and this, interesting. And this is the only one that I really have 2 whole balls of left. So I could do, I don't know. I'm not going to go on about all the different combinations I could go on into because we'd be here forever. But if I do end up making anything, I will make a video out of it. And so, like I mentioned, I am trying to rewrite all of my patterns into using Australian yarn as the suggested yarn. And a lot of my patterns are written for the Petite Wool. And I cannot find a good substitute. So if anyone knows of one, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. Because it's been a real struggle finding a yarn with exactly these characteristics. It is single ply and about like 12 or 14 ply, and it's 100% wool. And it's quite airy, like it's very not dense. It's opposite of dense. So if anyone knows of a good substitute, please let me know, because I would love to find... Oh, excuse me. So if anyone knows of a good substitute, please let me know, because I would love to find one. But yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. I hope that you found that satisfying to some level, because I know I like watching people clean up. It's a weird quirk that I have. If any of you skipped forward to the end of the video because you wanted to find the giveaway details, don't worry. I do not blame you. I do that all the time too. But you want to skip backwards a bit. There is a timestamp in the description bar to tell you where you can find the details. And other than that, I'm going to actually sit down and use some of this yarn and do some knitting. So I will see you next Thursday. New videos go up at 7:30 Sydney time, and make sure you like and definitely subscribe so you can get in the giveaway. And I will see you next time.